Mic's on? Yeah. Okay, so this is a, is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a perfume bottle that we made for Alexander Julian. It's a, the process started sometime in the 90s when I read a magazine article that had a designer in it who talked about making perfume bottles and said, there's nobody in the United States who's willing to do that. So I called him up and said, hey, we're interested in doing that. And that started a process where he introduced me to the former sales manager for a perfume bottle company in France. His name was Don Langlois. I can't say French. And we ended up traveling to France, to Normandy, and visited several different perfume bottle manufacturers and made in effect, a technology transfer agreement with one of them that was like a 100-year-old company. I think they were in their 8th generation, and the generation was a couple of ladies who were in their 80s. And so we ended up sending a mold maker and a couple of glass workers over to their factory who worked there for, I think they were there for 3 weeks in total, working and learning how to make the glass and to make the molds. And so they came back. It's a process called suck blow, forgive the name, but it's where the glass is dropped into a mold and then pressure, it's vacuum blown down into around a ring, which would be here, and then a puff of air goes up from the inside to blow it out into a little ball of glass, and then you turn it over and bring a little machine down to blow it into a mold. And we made a number of perfume bottles using this technique in the regular line. And instead of a team of 8 or 10 or so making the bottles, this could be done in relatively good speed at maybe 4 people. And so we made these perfume bottles for Alexander Julian. They made a stopper as well, packed them up, shipped them out. Some of them, or shipped them to them, and they filled them, and then they shipped them out. And the tops cracked off because the plastic circle that went around the glass stopper wasn't appropriately made. It was a disaster, but they were beautiful bottles and an interesting process. And the company that we had this agreement with went out of business not too long after we were there. They also, if you're interested, or if you're knowledgeable about Sabino glass, the opalescent glass, they made it there. And it was a very high arsenic glass, 20 or 30% arsenic, in order to get that color. And they didn't really worry about the effects of the arsenic because they believed that if you drank milk after you worked it, then there would be no problem. So they gave each of the workers milk as they went home. I'm not sure I really believe that story entirely, but that's what they told us. So anyway, that was a long explanation that this is an Alexander Julian bottle.
What he said.
And I just find it very interesting. That's why you had me mesmerized. Oops, one second. Because I wouldn't have known this if I'd seen this out in the wild. That's really, really interesting. Thank you.
I think there were 2 sizes, if I remember right. And they went in a really nice package and with a stopper that's flat on the top
Okay.
And then come down, and you're supposed to, there was a plastemery machine that put a plastic end on the glass stopper, and that's where it just didn't work.
Okay. Good. Did you tell them what you wanted to know?
Actually, that clock is mine. I love those tombstone style clocks, and I was stunned to find one with a logo dead center on the bottom of it. I've never seen a logo on those before. And I didn't realize that that wasn't a Fenton mold, question mark?
No, it wasn't made at Fenton.
Okay.
It was one of those that just came in when we bought them.
You speak up, we can't hear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it is not a Fenton-made mold. It was one that we acquired when we would buy a set of molds, and I honestly can't tell you. We had 2 clock molds. One was huge, a big mantle clock, and this one, and I cannot tell you what company they were from.
Were they both the same?
No.
Same company?
Because I knew the first, the Napoleonic hat style clock, I think
Right.
was Fostoria, wasn't it? Or McKee.
Yeah. I think it was
the key.
McKee.
Yeah.
I think so.
But I was stunned because I've never seen one with a logo on it before.
Well, I'll go back to my mold list and see if I can look this up, and if it's, we may have had where it came from on that list.
Okay.
So,
Because I was gonna do a display table at Gala at Kansas City, and that would be a really interesting, cool thing to share with people.
But this is
So
a
the
Fenton, I mean, a Fenton logo.
yeah, the logo though is just the vertical F, which means that the mold was somebody else's before ours. It's a strange place to put it. We normally would put it on the back.
It's hers.
Well, it might have been the back and somebody put the clock in backwards.
It's possible.
I would think that's more likely. But it wouldn't be on the front. I mean, the clock comes out in 2 pieces.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So somebody just put the clock in backwards. Well, this is a swung out dolphin bowl that instead of, it probably didn't look too good. It wasn't pressed exactly right, and the guys just picked it up and played with it, and it came through like this.
It could have been a whimsy as well.
That's a whimsy. I just described it.
And you didn't say the term.
Oh,
Tell them, Nancy, you tell them.
So it doesn't have a logo in it.
right, because it would have been made back before we, in the 50s or before we were making all those.
Took a lot of booze to make that.
Well, I happened to, this is mine as well, and I found this, just when we were out shopping, I thought, well, they don't make, I'd never really seen a 1930s dolphin whimsy before, especially in a shop, and I thought, well, I think I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have that one. Max said, okay, honey.
That's a very nice.
Of course he did.
So, yeah, it's really nice.
Do you know the history of this?
No. Well, it's mine. But the question is, always when you see the inside where the chimney fits down inside, the holders look like little T's. And that's got a solid ring to it. There's a solid ring there instead of little T's that hold the chimney in place.
Would they have had to change the mold because, the little hurricane thing that went down inside, or the piece that went down inside had to be held differently? I mean, we've had that happen. in candle holders, so I don't know.
We just bought that because it was so different.
Does anybody out there know the difference in the inside?
That was much better. It is, it holds it from the inside, right?
Well, that one, you know, I can see where, from a production standpoint, I can see where that ring would be a problem. Whereas if you just had what you've modified it to, because I'm assuming that this was early, then you would have modified it to what you were using for most of it. It would be more forgiving with that, where this ring has no
No
forgiveness to it.
Right, when you blew the piece that had to go down inside, but it had to be absolutely perfect.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, the way this piece is made, it's pressed with the side straight up and then warmed in and cupped and then the handle applied. So that means that has this portion and all this would be subject to the heat and subject to running out of shape.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I don't remember the difference.
Those little tips are fragile. I've had them where the tips have been broke off. And that there you think is it like would go over the top, it'd be very stable.
We can't have anything stable in our home.
Not that.
What do we call this, rose mist? Remember, this is the erbium pink, and trying to remember where the mold came from for this. Do you know where it originated?
Almost looks like a modified Cambridge mold.
I don't know that we had, I don't remember any being marked.
The Caprice base is a Cambridge mold.
You're right, it is.
It's fine.
And it does have that same, so possibly.
Do we have a magnifying glass?
It would have just been marked Daisy and Button in our lexicon.
Can you tell the mold mark, the logo?
It's a vertical F.
So,
It could be McKee or Imperial or other variety of places, but
So
again,
many people
I was
may.
gonna bring my computer and I didn't. I should have.
But it's an urban, we wanted to make a pink that wouldn't change, like if you put it in your windowsill, it wouldn't change, or if you had fluorescent light rather than incandescent light, it wouldn't change, and all of our pinks do that, transparent pinks. And it wouldn't turn brown. So we discovered that making a pink out of erbium would do that. But as soon as we figured that out, the price of erbium just skyrocketed, and now it's very, very difficult. I think we would get ours from Sweden. Theirs is gone now, and it's used in electronics, because I think China is the only place left you can get it. So I don't expect to see it in glass much.
It's Fenton. And that's what Frank used to say when he didn't know anything else about it to say.
It's a miracle. They made it, and all the toes are, it doesn't rock, we have finally changed to putting 3 toes on everything, because 3 toes, it would sit steady, but if you had 4 toes, it could rock too easily, because one might be shorter than the others.
So probably made in the 60s, would be my guess, looking at the color and the lack of a logo. Maybe late 50s.
It's like celery dish.
I don't know a lot about the milk glass, hobnail stuff. But these feet, I find these feet kind of interesting, because usually they're not just plain, they've usually got a rib or something. There's a little bit of pattern to these, but not
They do have.
like I would have normally expected to see on your Maybe this is something they made while Frank was on vacation. Do you need a picture?
Yeah, then I can find it.
Okay.
I have it, it's in the 1975 catalog.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
a oval pickle dish.
It would have been probably in the late 60s catalog too.
They wanna know, this mold, is pressed and then cupped in. It's in Whitmire's second edition book. It is listed in black, green transparent, jade green, orchid, rose, ruby, and wisteria. What color is this? Rose.
Mm.
No? What color is it?
It's Fenton's version of Crown Tuscan.
Oh,
This is the third piece. This is the third piece that we know of to exist. You guys had a piece in the it was in the museum. It was
A Georgian Concord.
it was a Georgian candy base that had been into a trefoil top on it. And it now resides in our collection, that piece does. And we even have the little tag in it. Your dad, Frank, said that this was a very corrosive and hard on the pot. And then a year or so ago, we found, or Tim and Kathy Eicholz found an 847 fan base, which is a definite. Roy found the first piece and took it in, and Frank looked at it and said, yeah, that's definitely our Georgian. And then this piece, Dan walked into it the other day into the antique mall, and we just kind of immediately got really excited and like, oh my goodness. So we know of 3 pieces of it now. We hope that there will be more show up.
Yep. The tag that was in the museum said Georgian by Fenton, Comport with triangle crimp circa early 1930s, and that it indicates who it was loaned by. This color is similar to Cambridge Crown Tuscan. And that's all the tag said.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very pretty color, I think. I like it. And this is the number 100 is the mold number on this.
100 wide rim.
Yeah. And
So-
you gotta read the
So
other.
did Frank indicate that this was ever in production?
Let me get a picture of a piece of paper that Dan brought in for us. He said, and this is from his insurance company. Okay. And phone never wants to stay the way you said it. Fenton's version of Crown Tuscan, produced
Go ahead.
Produced before 1933 for SS Kresge. The public was not impressed with the Crown Tuscan color, and it was a horrible seller and was removed. 10 items are noted in a pre-1933 catalog, but which catalog is not known. Was it Kresge, Fenton, or a jobber? And the pieces listed are a stamped comport, and we're assuming that that's the Georgian piece that we have. The number 847 vase, the number 100 dish, and those are the 3 pieces that we've all seen. A candlestick, that's all it says. A tumbler, doesn't say what kind. A coaster, a goblet, doesn't say what kind. A small bowl, again, doesn't say what kind. Powder jar, I'm hoping that's a 1502. And a candy jar, perhaps also Georgian. But there's no specifics given except on those 2 that give a mold number, the 847 and the number 100. So let's make it our mission, should we choose to accept it, that we all go out and we look for those pieces in that Crown Tuscan.
Yeah, I figure that there probably a lot of it's sitting in Cambridge collections around the country, is what I expect. Thank you both. both for bringing that in. We really appreciate that. Personally, I
Now,
appreciate
they
that.
told us how much we paid for it, we told them that we would triple their cost on it, and they said, no, it's gonna go right into their cabinet, so.
I'll go 4 times.
We tried.
Okay. Hey, here, George, you're gonna want this.
You're gonna want this.
You're gonna want this, you guys can start.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna.
There's,
be heavy enough.
there's one that's obviously Jamestown. It's got the Fenton logo on it. Now, there's a little button on the side. Hit the other green one with that. Yes, that one glows like nobody's tomorrow.
So when did Jamestown Blue start reacting green to a black light?
Right, and I shine the flashlight on my bookcase.
Now, the gentleman that owns it found it quite by accident. What I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think it really is Fenton's, because we've recently found pieces of colonial green. Some of them will react to a black light. Now, why they don't know, why all of it doesn't react to a black light, I'm not sure, but hopefully someone with a lot of Fenton history and knowledge on the manufacturing side will have an answer for that. The blue one, the blue one here, I'm pretty sure that's an old one, original, because it's, I think the top, it was blown and broke off. And I'm guessing it was Dithridge was the manufacturer of that. And Dithridge made a ton of salt and pepper shakers back in the early 1900s. So, any thoughts on why one would glow and one would not?
They're two different colors.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And they're two completely different
This one's far
patterns.
more yellow.
Yeah, the flower pattern's different, but all the beads are the same.
Okay, so the flower patterns are
I,
different.
I just don't think this is made, that's ours, I don't think that is, like that is,
Think that's back to the Dithridge era?
These two are the same pattern.
Okay,
These are not, this is
Okay.
not.
okay, so back to the Dithridge era.
That would make sense because some of the older blues definitely do react to a black light. So,
So we had discussions on black lights before. Jim Mazzell just sent me an article that the wavelength of black lights varies and it reacts differently, and some wavelengths react to manganese as well as uranium, or instead of. So
Okay.
that, that may be part of the answer of why some of these things, particularly the elephant we were looking at the other day, was reacting because of manganese as opposed to because of uranium.
Yeah, because I know some of the crystals will react, and the manganese is the culprit there.
Yeah.
Good.
It's both left and right-handed. Is it ours?
Okay, there's some people that are not here who are gonna get scolded really hard later. Tim and Kathy Eichels have a water pitcher in their room, and we were looking at it last night, and I wasn't 100% sure that it was yours, and he was like, yeah. Well, he pulled out a book and showed me a catalog page. Yeah, it was yours, and which really surprised me, he called it polka dot. The page called it polka dot. Now, I don't remember if this particular piece being in that reprint. And so I was kind of hoping that Tim would be here. He's not. So, but Tim's really excited about this kind of stuff. I think this really is is yours. I could be very wrong, so I'm gonna guardedly say, yes, it's Fenton's.
Bottom with those little dots on bottom, just like Boca,
Yes.
just like Jamestown.
Yeah.
Little bitty dots.
We had a piece, and I think we had it here a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I know we had it out in Kansas City. We had one that looked almost identical to the Jamestown, but it was not Jamestown. And, we never could figure out who or what it was, and we went, a good friend of ours really wanted it, and so we went ahead and sold it to her, but,
What color does that look like to
The
you?
color looks like pilgrim to me.
That's
It's a
us
little
too.
more purple
Yeah.
than our typical.
How about country cranberry?
No.
Country cranberry is the same as cranberry, it's just a different name.
yeah. So, I'm the only guy who wanted Fenton.
I know,
Everybody
but
else
they-
is saying,
Look at the bottom of it too. I don't.
See, this area.
You're right,
so
though, it does look like
on both sides. That to me just doesn't seem right.
I mean, the dots on the bottom just have to do with the size of the optic mold and whether there's a plain area on the bottom.
take it.
I don't know. Quality-wise, as Ann's pointing out, it could be Chinese.
I have another one, just like it at home.
Mhm.
That one's friend of mine.
This one's got two. Yeah.
Does it have a Marie on it?
Yes, it has Marie.
I don't think Bill read it. I don't think they did.
Good.
I think everything they made was stuff up.
That might be right.
I can't remember.
Yep. So I would say, take that to Tim and Kathy's room
I'll take it.
and kind of let them, tell Tim you want to see his reprint.
Did you happen to remember how many mold lines their picture had?
No, I do not.
How many does that one have?
Two.
Two?
I do not.
I mean, I don't know, it could be ours. I don't know.
I wish I had my picture here.
Yes.
Oh, this isn't like this.
Is that a Franklin shot glass?
Yeah.
That's been closed.
Nice.
And it's stained.
Yeah, this is a Franklin shot glass. It's got some staining on it. The staining process is one I really don't understand. The flashing staining process, that it sticks so well. I assume it's kind of like a paint, but it's
like a
really
It is fired.
fired into it.
Paint fired, yes.
Yeah. So, I've never seen one done like this. They've all been crystal or maned or, pardon?
It may have been
Okay.
done for, a specific company or
Yeah.
something, but, yeah, because we did do things for outside decorators.
Who's this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you want the whole set, so you've just got the starter kit. Okay. So,
I also have Plymouth pattern with the ruby stain.
and so you got, I don't think I've ever seen Plymouth ruby stain.
I started to
I
break.
feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah.
This is a Westmoreland basket. Very similar in overall look to Fenton, and it's got a beautiful, beautiful soft satinizing that was done to it. And the easiest way to tell, they've got it's kind of a rose garden pattern, but they have a lattice and a pattern behind the actual flowers. I don't know what they call this color, it's kind of a pretty soft green brown color.
Their handlers need a little extra training on this one.
Like first day on the job.
Yeah.
Or it was Friday afternoon.
Yeah, Friday afternoon, yeah.
Or Monday morning.
Yeah.
The owner have any particular question about this that they're really wanting to know, or just manufacturer?
It's fun. I don't
Oh.
know anything about it.
Okay, US.
US glass?
Yep.
Yep, that's a US glass product right there.
It's purple.
It's purple?
That's all I care about.
Okay. Yeah, it's purple. I don't know what to say. It's just, we see this a lot, this shape, with this ring around here at the bottom and stuff. I'm reluctant to say it's Tiffin, because Tiffin gets credit for a lot of things that was made in other factories, you know, Glassport and all those other, so that's why I said US glass, but it's a US glass piece. It's very nice purple. I mean,
It's got joint marks.
there's one. You're asking the blind guy. I think it's just a two-part.
Okay.
Dave, what did you do? For heaven's sakes. It's the feeling. The things are inside, but then.
So what's the question on this one?
Well, we were just wondering what Dave did.
Yeah, tell us we don't know what the inside, what you're looking at.
Well, the thing that's unusual is normally when Dave takes his glass stringers and he applies them to the outside of the piece.
We did here too, but when you blow it out into the mold, then it flattens those out and they come inside.
What I think that piece is, you know, when a supervisor or make the construction room as I had a chance to, whatever the shop was making, I'd go out and do something different than make whatever mold they were making at that particular time. And what that is, that's one of the pieces made for the construction room, just strung glass on the outside of it and didn't melt it in really smooth, but then it looked a little rough.
But
And it looks like the threads are the same glass as the base piece.
Yeah, it
and
is.
but they must have been really thick. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because usually you would feel them raised on the inside of the piece. So.
Like, we just went and asked Dave what it was, and he explained that after looking at it a little bit. I mean, it's 40 years old. But he also was mentioning how he would make something randomly and then show it to you folks and say, what do you think? And just curious what you guys thought about it, because I find it to be completely interesting.
It didn't go into the line.
No, it didn't go. I understand that. That's the surprise ending. Yes, I understand.
We made the construction room, when I was supervisor, I didn't have time to just go out and sit down and make pieces. So they asked me to make some special stuff for the construction room when I had a chance. Well, the shop be making a piece like, and I'd go out and do something different and make a mold that the shop would make it.
Right.
That's the one that's in No.
Or just dark down.
It was the way it was meant to be.
It is what it is.
beautiful shade of amethyst that got that deep and didn't turn brown.
Yeah. The leaf tiers, plate. Like I said, we've got a matching bowl at home. And someone beat me to it last night, kind of thing. That's,
When do you think it was made?
it was made in the 30s, if I
30s, or
remember
just a little bit
correctly.
earlier.
Yeah.
We thought that perhaps it was, is it the wisteria that's uniridized, or is it just amethyst?
I don't think the wisteria is quite as
Okay.
rich as that color.
This is the leaf cheers in the amethyst is a very unusual combination. Heacock shows it in either the first or second 25 years. Those two really blend together for me. I can't remember which one it's in. And then Tom shows this plate in his book. And we can't find our leaf cheers bowl in amethyst in any book. And so it's just really hard to find these pieces, leaf cheers in amethyst at all. As a person who's kind of gotten into baking cakes recently, I just wanna put something very nice on this cake plate. It's beautiful, and I'm so glad to see this. Thank you so much for bringing this in.
Yeah, she's wanting to put a cake on it, I just wanna get my hands on it. This is really nice, I must admit, this is very pretty, very, very pretty. Now, would they have made this and the bowl out of the same mold, probably? Yes, that's kind of what I thought. And it's a shame this thing's got fingerprints all over it now. So don't let the FBI print this. Don't. Yeah. The leaf tiers, and the other thing about this one's in good shape. It's the leaf tiers, a lot of times the feet are damaged. It's tough to find good feet on the leaf tiers. So, very nice piece.
Oh, these are hard to come by with the sterilizer decoration on them. These were made by Fenton, 1930s, for the barbershop line. Made actually for use in barbershops. Dr. Combs in here. They were decorated at Fenton, and they're just really, really hard to find. We have a friend who actually has found a piece of this. I've never held one in my hand. This is real. I don't know whose is this. I think it belongs to the same people as the leaf tiers plate.
I see the decorations here.
It's a star and then it says sterilizer on it.
Cool.
So, right. So this is really nice. This one's in excellent condition, but it was made with that moonstone glass. So.
That's also Tim Michael. He wanted to bring in.
Did you bring this in?
I brought that in from Tim.
Okay.
Tim wanted to bring in.
Okay.
Well, if I'd known it was Tim's, we wouldn't have talked about it, because he should have been here.
I know, he's got Frank working.
Okay.
So, this is a paste mold. What it's for a bell. The way you use the mold is it's wet. It has a layer of carbon on the inside, and when they blow the glass into it, they turn the blowpipe so that there is no mold joint mark. And it actually, because it's wet, the water boils, gets steam, and creates a lubrication between the surface of the mold and the piece, so that you have, again, the purpose of this is no joint mark. And you can obviously only use that on something that's perfectly round, because otherwise if you turned it, it wouldn't work. The way you get the carbon, there's a mixture of a tarish material and sawdust that is painted on the mold, and then either using hot glass or put in an oven, you carbonize it, you burn it, and you may have to do that a couple of different times before it's ready to work. And it might last for a couple hundred pieces, depends on how good you are, and then you have to repaste it and go back through that process again. So it's normally attached to what's called a mold dummy that dumps this into water and then brings it back up between each piece, or you have a sprayer that sprays water on it between each piece in order to cool it and in order to get the lubrication on it.
So you get water inside there too?
Yeah, it's actually got holes in it. When somebody would use this mold, and you would see the water and the steam come out the side of the mold.
But no crackle. Didn't make it crackle.
It doesn't make it crackle, no. When crackle is, what you do is you take the ball of glass before you blow it in the mold and dip it in water, a lot of water. Okay, this has a very thin layer of water so that it doesn't crack the glass. Yeah, and wine glasses and a whole variety of things would be made this way using this kind of mold. And we had a number of vases that we made this way.
Is it your mold? We couldn't tell if it was your mold or not.
Well, I can't tell that either. I think we might have made a bell mold like this, although it would be difficult. This would be a difficult piece to blow because you've got to get the glass down in the handle. And it's got a name on the top of it, Sagco, or Sacco, I'm not sure which. Sacco is what it looks like. I'm guessing that we probably bought this mold or got it from somebody with a collection of molds rather than made it ourselves. This was not something that we were that good at in terms of using paste molds. We did it some, Dave did it some, and we also use wooden molds that work the same way. You dip them in water and then blow the glass in it. In that case, the mold actually wears away after probably 100 pieces, and then you have to make a new mold. But in this case, you're just burning out the carbon, and then you can re-carbonize it and put the paste back in it.
Where that's smooth, did you guys put a piece of something in it in order to decor, like the little flowers or whatever, or impressions or ridges inside of the mold, or would it just, that whatever came out of that would be that?
It would be smooth. You can't put any ridges or anything in it. You could put an optic in it, but you can't, which would be on the inside of the glass and would then smooth out as you blew it into the mold. But you can't have any ridges. You can have something that is completely round, horizontal pattern, like this has, or melons or something that would be horizontal, but you can't have anything that would stop it from turning.
Probably the best example of paste mold things that Fenton made were the Katja items. It was very important to her as a designer that they be perfectly round and smooth and didn't have any mold lines. She found that very offensive. And so,
The Avon vase was another piece that we worked with an Avon. And then we made an iron mold. We call these paste molds, even though they're made of iron, but an iron mold is also called a cold mold. So we made a cold mold for the Avon vase shape, which was easier to make. And one of the things that's difficult here is after you finish making the piece, you then have to crack it off the pipe because you're blowing it on the pipe and you take it out. As opposed to a cold mold where you would form the bubble on the top and you could crack the piece off and then clean off the bubble and finish it in hot metal. That's a much simpler process than cracking it off.
Did I miss why you called
because you paste the inside of it.
So,
P-A-S-T-E.
yeah, so, what are you pasting it with, the carbon, or?
It's a mixture of tarish material
Okay,
and
okay.
sawdust.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And so in effect, you're getting a wood layer
Got it.
inside
Got it,
And water.
and water.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same question.
Yeah, it's like,
Mhm.
but understand now, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, all right.
And I'd like to thank Audrey and Joe, our runners, so to speak, for taking care of all the class for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching my video. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you again soon.